If you woke up tomorrow morning, opened your front door, and walked outside into your neighborhood completely naked, what is the very first thing you would feel? You would likely feel pure panic. You would feel a deep, overwhelming sense of shame. You would cross your arms, look for somewhere to hide, and wish the ground would swallow you whole. But why? Look at the natural world around us. The birds in the sky, the deer in the forest, the wolves hunting in the snow. Every single creature on this planet walks the earth exactly as they were born. They do not hide, they do not feel embarrassed, they do not cover themselves. We are the only animals on earth that turned hiding our bodies into a shared cultural rule. For 99% of life's history on this planet, nakedness was simply the rule of nature, and for a very long time it was the rule for human beings too. Our earliest ancient ancestors walked across the savannas of Africa, completely exposed to the sun, the wind, and the eyes of each other. There were no mirrors, there was no concept of being underdressed. There was just the body doing what it needed to do to survive. So when did we decide to cover up? When did the human mind shift from feeling completely natural in the open air to feeling an intense need to hide behind a layer of material? You might think the answer is simple. You might think we just got cold. But the truth, hidden deep in our history, is far more mysterious, and it reveals a terrifying and beautiful threshold that the human brain crossed long ago. To find out when humans first started hiding their bodies, scientists could not look for ancient clothes. Leather, leaves, and animal hides rot away into the dirt over thousands of years. Stone tools survive, but fabric disappears. Instead, scientists had to look at a very strange, hidden clue: human DNA, specifically the DNA of parasites. There are two main types of lice that live on humans: head lice, which live in our hair, and body lice, which only live in the fibers of clothing. By studying the genetic mutations of these insects, evolutionary biologists made a shocking discovery. They found a likely window in history when body louse split away from head louse and adapted to life in clothing. That split happened between 83,000 and 170,000 years ago. This means that over 100,000 years ago, during the freezing grip of an ice age, ancient humans started wearing animal hides so constantly and so permanently that a clothing-adapted lineage of insects evolved to live in them. At first, this was entirely about survival. In places like ancient Europe, where temperatures plummeted, archaeologists have found the bones of massive bears with cut marks on them, dating back 300,000 years. Early humans were scraping the thick skins off these predators, throwing the raw hides over their own shivering shoulders, and huddling near the fire just to stay alive through the night. But if clothing started purely as a way to stop freezing to death, why do humans living in boiling hot deserts still wear it? Why do we feel a psychological need to cover our private parts even when we are perfectly warm in our own homes? This is where the story of the human mind gets strange. Anthropologists have spent decades studying isolated tribes around the world, and what they found completely destroyed the idea that humans are naturally born with a sense of shame. In some warm climate societies, men and women have traditionally worn very little clothing, and public nakedness did not always carry the same embarrassment it carries in modern cities. Shame is not simply biological. We are not born with one universal rule for it. Much of shame is something culture teaches. As the ancient human brain grew larger and more complex, our ancestors started doing things no other animal had ever done. We started speaking complex languages, we started painting on cave walls, we started burying our dead, and we started creating rules for our society. Researchers believe that as early humans became more intelligent, we developed a powerful psychological concept, the idea of the taboo. In the ancient human mind, a taboo did not just mean something was bad or ugly. Taboo meant that something was special, it was sacred, it was set apart from the normal, everyday world. As human tribes grew larger and more socially complicated, reproduction and sex became highly charged social issues. They caused jealousy, conflict, and deep emotional bonds. To keep the peace and to manage these intense human instincts, early societies began to separate the reproductive body from the everyday working body. They decided that the reproductive parts of the human form were too powerful, too private, and too important to just be left out in the open. They became taboo, they became sacred, and so we began to hide them. By about 40,000 years ago, humans invented the bone needle. This tiny tool changed the world forever. We were no longer just throwing heavy, bloody bear skins over our shoulders. We were cutting, piercing, and sewing tailored garments. We began attaching shells, beads, and colored dyes to the things we wore. Clothing stopped being just a shield against the freezing wind. It became the world's very first communication technology. Before you even spoke a word to a stranger from another tribe, the animal skin they wore, the way it was tied, and the beads attached to it told you exactly who they were. It told you if they were a hunter, a leader, a threat, or a friend. By hiding our natural bodies, we were actually creating a new way to show our minds. When you put on clothes, you are doing something incredibly profound. You are drawing a line between the animal world and the human world. Every other creature is trapped in the body nature gave them, but ancient humans looked at themselves, looked at the world, and decided, I can change what I am. We realized that we are not just flesh and bone. We have a private self, an inner world that belongs only to us. That panic you would feel if you walked outside naked today, that is not just fear of the cold. It is the fear of losing your boundary. It is the fear of having your private inner self completely exposed to a world of strangers. For thousands of years, clothing has been our armor, not just against the freezing wind, but against the heavy, judging eyes of the world. The next time you get dressed in the quiet of your bedroom, pause for a moment. Look at the fabric in your hands. You are participating in a ritual that goes back 100,000 years. You are holding one of the oldest human inventions around the body. You are not just covering yourself up. You are choosing, piece by piece, exactly how much of your true self you want the world to see today.